I don't know why they forced you to do trash with the story mode. It's like, what are we doing? Last time on World of Warcraft.
You are the true strength of the Amani.
Dies from cringe. Can you help me reach the upper platform? I'd like to check on Zul'jara. Run, orc, run. You got somewhere to go now. Run, orc, run. Why is Zul'jara on 1 HP? Wait, why do you let us go back here to check on Zul'jara, which is clearly a prompt you allow us to do? But like, it's the same as before. Nothing's different here. Is this a bug or are they just stupid? Zul'jara will blame herself because, you know, she was kind of at blame here. But we know that she did everything to try to save him.
Perhaps having a ghost over your shoulder isn't always a bad thing. You just have to listen to the right ghosts.
You be careful, Hashura. You're starting to sound like an Amani.
Well, maybe that's not such a bad thing either.
Lord Thamar regards you stiffly as you recount your efforts in Zul'Aman. I am glad you handled all that for me. I don't want to deal with them. I am glad that the Amani were able to deal with this Ula'tek on their own with your and Liadrin's help, mainly me. Hopefully we hear less of them in the future. Bro does not care. Now to actually tie this back into the A-plot. This is gonna look so weird because I never actually did the main campaign on this character, the War of Light and Shadow. Ever since the terrible events of the Void Spire, Arator has suffered. Good. I still don't know why we're putting so much emphasis on him as a character. He's not like all that special. He's just their son. Oh, I heckin' love the Dawnwell.
How are you, Arator?
Every day is the same. Asking the light for answers, and receiving none. I never thanked you for saving my life, with your tether in the Voidstorm.
I'm sorry I could not save your parents.
Every time I close my eyes, I see them falling.
Like a pizza pie.
Always out of reach.
Halo Ridge.
Sometimes I have hope that they somehow survived. Other times...
Well, they almost certainly went to the same
wish
place
you had
Zalatab
let
went
me
to because they
fall
both
with
went
them.
down the same fucking hole. So let's think about it for 2 seconds here.
When I look upon the void, do you know what I see?
The Void.
Nothingness?
Possibilities. Infinite possibilities. Through which there is always a way forward.
You found something.
A new lead. Activity in the Twilight's blade that may point to Zalatath's whereabouts.
We're actually back to the
I
A-plot.
want
I
you
like how
to
I'm so far
investigate it
behind
with me.
everybody. Yeah, I'm just hanging
Well
back.
then, if the light doesn't have the answers, maybe the void will.
I like how Umbric started walking away as if he did not care whatsoever about Arator. I mean, same, but...
Twilight's blade may be acting in accordance with Zalatath's plans.
Then we'll force them to reveal those plans.
Hell yeah, up
Zalatath
with
can't
torture.
hide.
I thought all of our fighting would have reduced the number of the Twilight's blade, but it seems to have done nothing, like the Horde. The dark Loa whispered to me of a great lock and key together beneath the earth. The dark Loa whispered to me of a great devastation. What have we buried that can rise again? What fool would forget where the end of the world begins? And it's with this one tablet we'll connect the entire Amani story into the A-plot haphazardly so. With a wave of my finger and a flick of my dick, we'll make the story somehow coherent. What the hell is this thing? Pathetic voidling. Oh, please don't hurt me. Cowers at the sight of you. He's emoting on me. It's not my fault. I could have gotten them out of this. It's those new commanders. They have led the Twilight cult down the wrong path. For some reason, Blizzard loves having some small, diminutive creature of the bad guy faction help us out. They did this back with the Warlock Order Hall in Legion. And now for Arator's emo arc.
Why not use the void to pry into the cultists' minds?
No, Arator. Such measures are too dangerous for my liking.
Yeah, it might be effective. Let me guess. He was too goody two-shoes before, and now he's gonna be too aggressive and too, like, ruthless. And he's gonna have to find a middle ground to be the true child of light and shadow. What wretch am I to be burdened by this knowledge? What curiosity that brings the Amani to uncover? What should remain lost? What destroys? I wish Umbric were more willing to use his magic at a time like this. He might be remotely useful. We could be racing the clock right now and have no idea.
Umbric, we'd make faster progress if you just pull the information from these cultist minds with the void. I've seen my mother do it
Blizzard,
before,
you really
and I know you
desperately
can do
need
it
to
too.
add a way to remove character
I
models
could,
from these characters,
But tell me, Arator,
from the quest
how did
NPCs.
things play out when Ilaria used the void in that way?
We got what we needed, but it was a struggle, one that ended in the death of the ethereal we were questioning.
Such is the nature of the void. It is volatile and all-consuming. To wield it comes with immense risk.
Bro, what
And
is this
even if it
example?
didn't, what's to stop me from doing it again? I would be shredding the psyches of my foes for the sake of expediency. If I were to use the void to extract the knowledge we seek, it could very well tear our minds asunder in the process.
Okay, the conclusion is
There
fine.
are those who accuse me, and all void elves, of being monsters. I will not prove them right.
Okay, that bit's fine. It's like the way he built up to that point is fucking stupid. But like his conclusion there as to why he shouldn't do that, I can work with that. That makes sense for his story. But like saying, you see, the risk is we can kill the genocidal maniacs that are a bunch of cultists that are enemies. And we also get the information we need in a timely manner. So we can't do that. The fuck? But like where he got to there at the end, okay, I can work with that. That makes sense. I'm always a sucker for wild quest design where it's like we have a really tough enemy here, but we give you an item to make it weaker. I know they've done it a million times, but for some reason it never gets old to me. Oh, Lord Antenorian. Oh, it's that guy. Lord Antenorian was the magistrate over Tranquillian and Eversong. He joined the Twilight's Blade cult and recruited followers all under the nose of Silverman. I knew there was something familiar about that Void Link, but now that we have him cornered, he can tell us what we need to know. Too many questions and not enough Twilight's Blade who know the answer.
I won't stop hunting.
Those sounding just like
traveler.
Illyria. That's definitely intentional. Again, they have the subtlety of a brick.
Who
As soon as we
serve
met
us.
that little voidling, I thought there was something I recognized. How Antenorian survived, I know not. But it's clear that we cannot let him get away. Lord Antenorian has survived and reconstituted as a creature of void.
Thought I was dead? I rise again through the power of the void.
Yeah, sure, bro. I farmed you in Dells before. You're gonna be dead again. Yeah,
I
suck
will
my
never
spire.
tell you where the gateway leads.
Actually butchered him.
Perhaps I was a bit hasty, but you cannot follow me into the endless void.
You won't escape, monster. You'll tell us what you know.
Arator, wait!
No, Arator, I cannot lose him too. Well, Blues could do. We can too. Where we going? Null space. The energies of the void tear at you. Okay. I got an attack button, a heal button, and a guard button.
Does the child of light drown in the void?
It's all happening again. I'm falling.
Focus, Arator. Find your center in the darkness.
There, get him up.
Foolish mortals, you cannot survive the void. Whereas I am empowered by it.
So I just need to go all the way down to 40,000. Awesome. Oh, roll the button. We have the same matchups. They really wanted that bit to be cool, didn't they? I mean, if you had some movement there, I think it could have worked, but...
Arator, listen to me. The void cannot consume you if you maintain your focus. Concentrate.
Use a channeled spell.
Umbric, he called the Dark Well a gateway.
Just see my
what we
big
just passed
orc
through.
walk in.
I had suspected as much. But to where?
My parents. They were unconscious when they fell in. There's no way they could have survived.
Do not let these possibilities overwhelm you. We have work to do.
Bro, my orc is looking at him
There's
just
only
like, didn't
one
we already
possibility
cover this
I'm
back at the
interested in.
Dawnwell bit?
Finding Xalatath and ending this.
We wipe front to back is a goated guild name.
We're in Zulaman.
What just happened? What just happened?
What was that place?
Nowhere. and everywhere in between. Antenorian blindly opened a rift into it, and you followed him without a second thought.
I couldn't let him get away. Not when he can tell us where Xal'atath's gone.
And how could you pursue Xal'atath if you yourself had been lost or torn apart? We are both fortunate that you were able to maintain your sense of self for as long as you did.
Toward the end, I could feel... not control, exactly. More like I was riding a wave without sinking beneath it.
That's usually the most one can hope for when dealing with the Void. Keep that in mind, Arator.
This guy is 40 years old, by the way. Alright, second Twilight
The Dark
correspondence.
General and its armies will swarm the land, sky, and sea. But first, we must learn what keeps it sealed away. These wretched trolls and their pathetic magic. When their ritual fails, the General will be free to return.
I think the best way to describe
I
the
believe
writing they've been
I've
doing for both
located Antenorian.
Anduin and also
His
Arator.
newfound power makes him hard to miss.
The person or people writing these stories are COVID weebs.
Sounds like bringing back this Dark General is the cult's ultimate goal.
Indeed. And I wager that Antenorian knows how they intend to do it.
So we have a connection between the Amani and the actual A-plot. And instead of making 12.1 solely about this and continuing the narrative entirely with that, for some unknown fucking reason, we spend 5 chapters of this narrative dealing with some poison snake guy instead of like properly developing this segment of the Amani history.
Chase. Your search ends
Oh, are they talking about Kithix?
with your death.
How do they make this guy look cutesy? How do they do that?
No! Arator,
He doesn't
what
even
are you
look
doing?
monstrous. He looks like he's gonna go ooh-woo to me for some reason.
But I can see into his mind.
You know what he looks like? He looks like a Carbot animation. That's what he looks like. Like a chibi version of what his actual design is supposed to be.
There's a giant monstrosity and a name, Kithix.
I know not where Xal'atath has gone, but I do know that with Ula'tek slain, Kithix is free to rise again.
Well, then why the...
Will drown in blood.
This ends now.
You will drown in
All this time, Ula'tek was preventing Kithix from being resurrected. Now there's nothing left to stop its return.
Nothing. Except
No?
us. We need to report back to Silvermoon. Now.
Why in the fuck did they write the story in such a way to where they had this character Kithix, who's been around in the lore for a while at this point, and has been directly connected to the Amani? If you're developing an entire patch to deal with the Amani side of things, why not focus the story there specifically on Kithix, which better relates to the A-plot, instead of like constructing this weird snake god thing, pulling it out of your ass just to act as if it's like this is the thing that was preventing Kithix's return? Why did we spend 5 chapters of this narrative dealing with some snake guy they thought up of like last Tuesday instead of devoting the bulk of this plot with the Amani specifically to Kithix? You already did a plot line of the Amani fighting back the Void Forces, which was the leveling campaign, but you just had it be some Jabba ogre for some reason. Replace that dude and just make it Kithix and have that plot line extended into 12.1. Why do we need to act as if we had some like giant event happen which will now allow Kithix's return? They don't know how to budget time when it comes to constructing a story. They simply don't. Heck, even if you wanted to introduce Ula'tek conceptually, like sure you can do that, but like we're Kithix in alongside that, not just in that one like vision event we had. What are we doing? Like this goes back to exactly what I've been talking about. It's like one of their biggest problems when it comes to constructing a story is they don't know how to budget their time. Their pacing is terrible. Because now, instead of having a leveling zone and an entire patch worth of development for Kithix as an entity and for like that history of the Amani, we devoted a bulk of that time Not focused on Kithix itself, but focused on like this other snake guy that no one gives a about, that we've already dealt with. So now instead of like making all of the Amani stuff feel as if it's feeding into the A plot, you have like 75, 80, 90% of it feel like filler plot that now can actually connect into the A plot. What are we doing? It also makes the history of the Amani way less compelling because like the story up to this point was that the Amani dealt with Kithix, like what Zul'Jin thought. But like now it's like, no, they could actually handle that power. No, actually they need to like call in the snake guy with Ula'tek. Like what the are we doing? Oh my God, you're so right, Bob. Are they gonna have Kithix be the end boss of 12.2? It goes back to something I keep hopping in on. The plot points they hit aren't necessarily bad, but they write this story as just a bullet point list of plot points to hit with no real thought or effort that goes into trying to connect from one plot point into the next in a coherent, nuanced manner with enough development and characterization to make it feel impactful. You can tell this entire storyline beat for beat in a way better way if you just introduce the Kithix stuff, which is clearly important that they're trying to work themselves up to way earlier in this plot line. But they didn't do that because they wanted this like moment where like all the scattered threads now come together. They wanted that feeling, but it doesn't feel impactful because the way they've written it just makes all those little plot threads feel like largely filler arcs with like one meaningful bit that actually connects into the A plot. Like leveling up throughout Zul'Aman should have been like building up to like the return of Kithix or something. And like maybe he uses the Coiled Isle as a base, transitioning us into 12.1 to like go weave that into the actual narrative. I need to see where this goes. Arator quietly seethes, like me. Actually, no, I'm not quiet about it. We need to tell Lor'themar what we've learned. Is this the end of the quest line? Don't do that to me. Not because I want to stop looking for Xal'atath, but this is important. We need an 8-week break. We get the Dawn's Radiant Sword.
Arator, what you did in that tomb.
I know. And you can lecture me later. We need to warn Lor'themar of what we've learned.
What do you mean lecture him later? Dude was casting a void cataclysm and Arator one-banged him. No, you don't want to actually participate in the story because, yeah, don't do that. Yeah, I know he was about to blow us all up and we would have died anyways, but like taking the initiative and doing something impactful for the narrative, no, we can't have you do that. You're a main character in World of Warcraft. You see, you can't actually do that. Be like Thrall. Dude's still back in the last expansion, herding up griffins or some shit. Arator is strong, headstrong sometimes, but we must focus on what's immediately before us. With Ula'tek's death, something even worse emerges on our borders. Most classic WoW trope ever. We defeat one enemy and there's one that's even stronger that's incoming. We must be ready. With all the forces we can muster. Wait 8 weeks.
As much as I want to pursue Xal'atath, I can't abandon Quel'Thalas or Zul'Aman in a time of need.
I mean, I
You
could.
have my blade.
Facing evil at great personal cost. You are your mother's son, Arator.
Again, we wouldn't have to worry about this if the Horde armies were here. How did we not have Deathhome secured? Like the entire Horde army, or like a large part of it, should be like already here securing everything down. Stay a while and listen.
Umbric, something has changed in Arator. What happened out there?
We pursued our quarry into a rift in the fabric of reality. To survive it, I had to give Arator a haphazard lesson in how to manipulate the void.
But Arator is a paladin of the light. How could he do that without causing a violent reaction?
I'm tempted to attribute it to sheer luck. Yet
No, he's
both
the main
you and
character.
I know that Arator possesses a willpower like few others. Though he does not wield the void, I suspect his determination to find Xal'atath gives him the strength to withstand its presence, even while calling upon the light.
Let us hope that remains to be true. I've seen what happens when those two forces collide. There is a reason Turalyon and Ilaria so often drift apart.
And Arator is son to both of them, perhaps in more ways than one. I will keep an eye on him and guide him when he needs it. Arator has touched the void,
Pause.
and that seldom happens only once.
Pause. Bro, we can't just be touching void.
Come with an open mind.
You want me to what, Umbric? So Lor'themar accomplished absolutely nothing again. Alright, love that guy. So about the Child of Light and Shadow Prophecy. Yeah, we had this entire storyline that we're going to do with Illidan, but no one liked it, so we pivoted last second. But we're going to just like do it with like Arator now. Like, oh my god. Okay, so my prediction is that we're getting a new piece of content in 12.1.5 called Labyrinths. The idea behind Labyrinths is that it's like a mega dungeon, but for delves, where it is going to be this giant space that you can take either piecemeal or all at the same time. I bet the story behind the Labyrinth will work itself back into Kithix. And that's how they're going to use that to like further the story. Granted, that would require them being somewhat competent. So it's still up in the air. But I think that could be an interesting way to work Labyrinths into the main story. It's still incredible to me how Arator is so unlikable. Not in like a visceral way, like when I see him I visibly cringe or something like that. Just in a way to where it's like when I'm not actively dealing with him as a character on my screen, I forget about him entirely. But yeah, that was the story for 12.1. They tried to work it back into the A-plot there at the end, but as we covered extensively before, like my god, they are really bad at pacing and planning out a narrative. It's like one of their biggest weaknesses. It's like they were clearly trying to work themselves up to this Kithix bit with the Amani, which could have been an interesting way to weave all of the Amani storyline into the main plot. But like focus on that predominantly. Why did we like deal with this like Ula'tek stuff for 5 chapters of the campaign instead of actively dealing with like Kithix and working that into the actual A-plot? Like, there was absolutely no need to do that story with Zul'jana and Zul'jan that way. Keep them both around and have it deal with, like, Kithix and develop both characters. It's so jarring to me how when it comes to narrative, Blizzard are so incompetent. But when it comes to actual gameplay systems, this patch is fire. It's like the Coiled Isle is a really fun zone. I love the stuff we do in the Vaults of Ula'tek. I love how all these different systems, like patrols, strikes, incursions, ancient enemies, how they all work off of each other and flow seamlessly as you're doing all that content down there. And we're trying to have unique gameplay systems that belong for like the Amani, that feel immersive in that interesting zone and have it all work itself together. That's really interesting and compelling. And I love how thematic everything is. It's like I even have a trinket that just summons a giant snake on my opponents and it looks awesome. It's like the team that works on like the trinket stuff does such a good job trying to like make each patch and location feel immersive, even when it comes to the stuff that you are doing. Even if it's just a bit of damage, it looks cool and it feels good to use. And when you pair that up with like the Altus stuff that we get access to, not only for the island content, but with like the Delve variant for 12.1 as well, where you can utilize the powers of this Alta of corrosion. It's super dang cool. It's so dang cool. You can argue it's like borrowed power, because it absolutely is, don't get me wrong. But like the way that they're utilizing it here, I think is pretty dang cool. But it feels so separate in terms of competency compared to the main plot and the main story. Whereas like everything that had potential when it comes to the Blood Elves, when it comes to the High Elves, when it comes to the Void Elves, when it comes to the Amani Trolls, when it comes to all of these things, just absolutely falls to the wayside and they do nothing interesting with any of it. It's like they have a bag of coins and they can only use how many coins they have in the bag to like pick their stats. But they go all in on the gameplay stuff, and they have like a ball of lint for the narrative. It's like genuinely impressive because like the environment team and like the team of writers they have that are like trying to do these like inscriptions you can find throughout the Vault of Ula'tek. They're trying so hard to make this stuff interesting. And like the environment team makes some absolutely cool looking locations. And then the team in charge of actually writing the plot are just like out to lunch or something. Like it blows my mind. Like, if they got a writing core that are even halfway competent, like, they don't have to be great, halfway competent, oh my god, we'd be cooking. Like, we would be cooking with so much grease, bacon grease, peanut oil. Oh my god, it would be delicious. But like at the last second, right when everything is coming together, they substitute something out for the gluten-free vegan alternative. And it just brings it all down. one of my biggest critiques, like when it comes to like modern World of Warcraft and narrative, they don't do a good job at all of making Azeroth an immersive world you want to lose yourself in. And like, there's multiple ways to go about doing this. You don't have to just have a really competent cutscene and stuff like that. You can go about it like the route like classic WoW, where it's not really some grandiose overarching narrative, just a bunch of little moments that are really like grown organically based in gameplay events the game provides, that you partake in with a bunch of other people. It could be like how they do in like later on with like Wrath of the Lich King, with like the Wrathgate and how cool of an event that is, and like the attack on the Undercity and all that. In Cataclysm, with the end of the Stone Talon Mountains quest line, or like the beginning of the Twilight Highlands quest line, or like the Troll Starter Zone back in Cataclysm, or like a lot of the storyline that took place in Mists of Pandaria. Even if I disagree personally with turning Garrosh Hellscream into a villain, I think the way they executed on that storyline made it very compelling for the time. There's like a bunch of different ways to go about making Azeroth and a video game world an immersive experience that you want to lose yourself in. But it requires telling a competent story, and you can go about doing that in a bunch of different ways because of the unique characteristics of being a video game as an interactive piece of media. But the story they're putting out just isn't good enough. And I never subscribed to the idea that like, oh, there is no coming back from this. I view that to give them a way out, to continue doing what they're doing, because it's like the ultimate black pill, where it's like, it's already all lost, there's no hope, there's no point in changing. There's a point, because you can make it better. We're going to Northrend in the next expansion. One of the most known about and beloved locations in all of World of Warcraft. You knock that story out of the park, and you make the new version of Northrend really compelling and immersive, and filled to the brim with great storylines. Like, we're going to fucking Ulduar as a main hub for the next expansion. They have the tools. They are giving themselves the opportunity here. When the lights are brightest, are you going to flinch? That's the question, because you can easily knock this out of the park. The finale to the World Soul Saga, taking place in Ulduar, across Northrend, with the return of the Titans, and almost certainly Illidan Stormrage. You can make that cool, especially if this is supposed to serve as this transitionary period into the story before this like pseudo reset we're supposed to get afterwards. Whatever form that takes, right? Whatever form that takes, you have the opportunity to make everyone forget about this. The gameplay stuff is good. It doesn't need a completely new foundation or anything. You already did that with Dragonflight, and you've been building off of that correctly, I might add, which is what's been carrying this game. Lord knows it's not the narrative. But if you continue the writing trends that we've had with The War Within, and especially with Midnight, no reset is going to address those woes.